I'm Richard Southern in the 680 newsroom. Trade worry was top of mind again for investors this past week. The Trump administration officially on Friday imposed tariffs on $34 billion worth of Chinese goods, and Beijing retaliated. Of course, there's a big concern about what's next in the Canada-U.S. trade bicker. Of course, we've already have tit-for-tat trade tariffs, Canada and the U.S. Now Trump is threatening tariffs on the auto sector. He's talked about a 25% tariff on Canadian cars and trucks going into the United States. Had a chance to talk to Gary Diaz, the head of Unifor, the largest auto union in the country. He says if those tariffs against the auto sector go ahead, look out for mass bankruptcies of the car companies.
Well, I think it can bankrupt several of them. You can't be slapping 25% tariffs on vehicles that are going from Canada to the United States or from the United States to Canada and expect that the industries are going to survive. So this will be wholesale economic carnage if, in fact, this thing goes on for any extended period of time.
A report by CIBC this past week found that the immediate impact of tariffs could be the reduction of some 900,000 cars created in Canada. Right, meantime, another big story this past week that had everyone talking. The fact that one of Canada's largest restaurant chains is doing away with plastic straws. No more plastic straws at Harvey's, Swiss Chalet, Eastside Mario's, Kelsey, or the Keg. These are companies owned by Recipe Unlimited, the former Cara operations. It's doing away with these straws at 19 of its restaurant banners, replacing them with biodegradable paper straws. A&W Canada said it would do the same thing. It made that announcement a couple of weeks ago. Of course, the big question is, what's the world's largest burger chain going to do? McDonald's. In Europe, it is testing out plastic straws, so it's possible we see some sort of announcement by McDonald's in the coming weeks and months about this. There's been a big push by environmentalists to do away with plastic straws. Very bad for the environment. Would you believe Canadians use 54 million of them every day, and only about 20% are recycled? You know, we're not seeing a whole lot of wage growth in Canada. Who's getting a big raise these days? There was an interesting new survey out this past week asking employees what they would do, what would you do, for just a 10% raise. And the results, quite surprising. 73% said they'd give up drinking for the next 5 years for that 10% pay bump. 53% would give up social media. 40% would wave goodbye to their dental care for 5 years, while 34% would waive the right to vote. 15% would give up their vacation days for the next 5 years, and for a 10% raise, 12% would break up with their partner or significant other. Are you going out this weekend, bar, restaurant? You going to leave a big tip? Are you a big tipper? Survey out this past week found millennials, those say under the age of 35, are the worst tippers out there. When dining out, 10% of millennials say they typically leave no tip whatsoever. The average tip a millennial leaves, 15%. That's less than the overall average. And 18% of these younger people say they opt not to leave a tip when there's a pre-entered amount, such as when they're in a ride-sharing service like Uber. In the 680 newsroom, Richard Southern, City News.